Tina Fontaine. A sweet 15-year-old indigenous young lady who was loved by everyone that knew her. That was until August 2014, when her body was pulled out of the Red River. In the end, she was betrayed by everyone that was supposed to protect her. This is Night Owl. Welcome back. I'm Ted, your host, and as you have already guessed, this is Night Owl. Today we're heading off to Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. With a population of around 1 million people, it's a pretty large city. Considered the cultural cradle of Canada, it hosts many festivals and is the home of the Royal Winnipeg Ballet. And it was also the birthplace of Tina Fontaine. To say that this kid had a rough start to life would be a gross understatement. But to better understand why it was like that, we have to understand the family dynamic that she was born into. And for that, we have to jump into the Wayback Machine and visit her paternal grandfather. You see, he was a survivor of the residential school system. If you haven't heard of that before, well, they were a network of boarding schools that were created by the government and run by the churches. The students were comprised of Aboriginal children. But unlike most boarding schools, the parents didn't choose to send them there. The children were yanked from their families. Hell, they were stolen. Once at one of these schools, attempts were made to strip these kids of their culture and beliefs through truly brutal means. A lot of these students didn't even survive the experience. Now, it's true. We as Canadians are well loved throughout the world and we are considered to be a truly great people wherever we go. But even we have a dark side to our history. And how we treated the members of the First Nation should cause us, as a nation, to hang our heads in disgrace. A lot of the children that actually survived their time there grew to depend on the use of substances, as you can probably assume. And Tina's granddad was no exception. But eventually he had a son named Eugene Fontaine, who, because his home life was pretty unbearable, left the Saugeen First Nation reservation when he was 12 and moved to Winnipeg, which was about 75 miles or 121 kilometers southwest of Saugeen First Nation. Once there, he pretty much lived on the streets. And he, much like his father before him, grew to depend on substances. Now, as for Tina's mom, her name was Valentina Duck, and she was born on the Bloodvein First Nation reservation, which is about 160 miles or 250 kilometers north of Winnipeg. And she had a pretty hard life herself. In fact, when she was 6 was the first time she was removed from her home. But it wasn't the last. Over the next 4 years she was removed and returned to her mom several times. And of course, this being done to such a young child can cause tons of trauma, none of which did she receive any help with. And then, when she was 10, Child and Family Services had had enough and took her away from her mom, permanently. I'd like to say that after she was finally removed from her home that her life had improved. I'd like to say that. But I can't. You see, it was at about this time that she started to be exploited by adults. As a result of the life experiences she had up to this point, she became hopelessly dependent on substance use. And nobody did anything to prevent it, or even to protect her. Geez, I'm glad that we have a system that is designed to protect children in place. It's just too bad that they don't do their bloody job more often. When she was 12, she met Eugene Fontaine. He was 23. And yes, their relationship was that sort of relationship. And no, not much was done to protect her from him either. Oh sure, her foster parents tried to keep them apart. But she kept running away from home to live with him. And a few years later, in 1996, when she was 14, the inevitable happened. She had her first kid, which, of course, was taken away immediately by CFS. In January 1, 1999, Tina Fontaine was born, and about a year and a half later she welcomed the arrival of her kid brother. And as I already stated, life wasn't too easy for her in the Fontaine household. In fact, when she was 1, CFS removed her from her home, but later she was returned, then she was removed a second time when she was 2. She was shortly after returned to her father's care. Then, when she was 5, her father sent her and her kid brother off to Powderview Pine Falls, which was right next door to the Saking First Nation Reserve. There she lived with her great-aunt and Uncle Thelma and Joseph Fable, who were made the legal guardians of the two kids. Once there, the kids flourished. They were always happy, had lots of friends. And her aunt said that Tina had one of the most infectious laughs she ever heard. That was, until tragedy struck. Eugene Fontaine, Tina's father, was unalived by someone else's hands. 2 men were charged with the crime. Now, I know what you're thinking. But dude, he wasn't much of a father to begin with. Well, maybe so, but he was still her father, and it hit this 15-year-old girl pretty hard. Her aunt said, and I quote, "She was very hurt, very lost. That's when she drifted away. Even though she was known to children's services and eligible for grief counseling, none was offered. Her marks in school started to slip, she started to have discipline problems with her teachers. She was almost becoming a different person. But the loss of her father did have a more profound effect on her as well. It provided her with a longing to reconnect with her other family members. Specifically, her mother. So, Tina asked her aunt if she could go to Winnipeg to visit her mom. Now, at this time, they had heard that Tina's mom was trying to get her life back on track. So her aunt said sure. Provided she passed everything in school. To which she did. She absolutely aced everything. So, of course, her aunt had to uphold her end of the bargain, and she allowed Tina to go visit her mom. But it was only to be for a week. However, upon arriving at her mom's place, it appeared that she hadn't gotten her life as much in order as they were first led to believe. Tina's mom had, in fact, resumed her old life. And how did Tina's and her mom's visit go, you might be asking? Well, not all that hot. Tina was actually at her mom's for 2 days before her mom kicked her out of her house to fend for herself on the street. Wow. You're really mother of the bloody year material, aren't you, lady? At any rate. On July 17th or 18th, Tina contacted her CFS caseworker. In response, CFS put Tina in a hotel. They claimed because of budget restraints, that was the only place they could send her. Oh, really? Y'all couldn't have scrounged up enough cash to get her a bus ticket to send her home to her aunt? Anyway, as of July 31st, she was reported missing to the Winnipeg police. However, according to her aunt Lana, Tina actually stayed with her on August 1st through the 3rd, on account of it being a long weekend. She then, on the 5th, called her CFS caseworker and was, once again, put into hotel placement, which she walked away from. During this time, she was still considered a missing person. I guess the next confirmed contact anyone had with her was on the 6th. She made a 911 call to report a stolen vehicle.
911, what's the address of the emergency?
Hey, I like to report a blue truck that was stolen earlier today.
Okay, and do you know who stole it?
This guy named Sebastian.
Is it your truck?
What?
Is it your truck?
No, he's my friend and he stole it earlier today.
Okay, you need to call the police directly at 986
Yeah,
6222.
yeah.
And when you get the recorded message, press 8. That'll take you directly to a person.
Okay then.
Okay,
Okay,
bye.
bye.
Now, that name, Sebastian. You're gonna want to remember that name, it does come up again. Anyway, the next time she was seen was on August the 8th, when she went into the McDonald's youth shelter in the wee hours of the morning to grab some breakfast. She didn't really stay there that long. Then at around 5:15 a.m., 2 cops pulled over a vehicle under the suspicion of that the driver was under the influence. And in the passenger seat was Tina. Now, keep in mind, Tina was still considered a missing child at the time. So, at any rate, the cops took the driver into custody for DUI and for having a suspended license. As for Tina? Well, these cops just left her at the side of the road. Jeepers. Who the hell were they anyway? Deputy Dog and Barney Fife. Incidentally, These 2 police officers were suspended for their actions and later quit the force. Well, with their skill set, I bet they had no problem getting a job at Burger King or somewhere. Then, later on that morning, at 10 a.m., she was discovered passed out in an alleyway near the University of Winnipeg. She was taken to the local hospital where she was checked, cleared, and released. The CFS put her in hotel placement again. But of course, she wasn't there that long before she left. The next time, and perhaps the last time, she was seen was the next day at around 3 a.m. A friend of hers known only as Katrina claimed that they were on Ellis Avenue, when some dude walked up to them and offered Tina some cash for a act. Tina said sure. And the 2 walked off into the darkness of the early morning hours. Then, on the 17th of August, a father and son were spending the day fishing at the Red River when at about 1:30 p.m., they spotted something in the water. They notified the authorities. When it was pulled out of the river, they made a horrifying discovery. It was a body, wrapped in a plastic tarp and a duvet. The body was identified as Tina Fontaine. They believe she may have passed away on the 10th. Do we know who did it? No. Oh hell, we don't even really know how it happened due to the condition of the body. Now, does that mean they never made an arrest in the case? Oh hell no. They did indeed. Remember the 911 call that Tina made, where she mentioned some dude named Sebastian? Well, it seems it was an alias for a guy named Raymond Joseph Cormier, a 53-year-old man that was seen arguing with Tina. It appears that they were fighting about this bike frame that Raymond had sold Tina in exchange for substances. I guess that's the currency of the streets, I suppose. At any rate, he was charged for the crime in December 2015, to which he pled not guilty. His trial began in January 2018. The problem is that argument is the only evidence against him. So, they pretty much had no choice but to pronounce him not guilty due to a lack of evidence. He has since passed away in Ottawa. And that is about where we are with this case. It's been around 11 years since the loss of Tina. And it doesn't feel like we are any closer to giving this young lady the justice she truly deserves. Maybe you can help. If anyone out there has any information about what might have happened to Tina, then please call the Winnipeg Police Services at 204-986-6222. Remember, the tip that you offer may take an open case and turn it into a solved case. Almost everyone let this poor kid down. Her mom did. CFS did. The police did. Even the hospital. Each of them are just as responsible for what happened to Tina as whoever put her in the river. But the only way we all can let her down is by forgetting about her. And that is something we can never do. And the best way we can keep her memory alive is through the stories we tell of her, or the pictures we've taken of her, or even the videos we make like this one. To make sure kids like Tina Fontaine are remembered. Always. But what do you think? Do you think that Tina's case will ever be solved? Do you have any of your own theories on what may have happened to Tina? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Thanks for stopping by. And I hope you plan on coming back. And as always, please don't forget to hit subscribe, like, and to share this video. It'll really help us with those pesky algorithms. And remember, regardless of age, race, gender, or creed, everyone deserves justice. Good night.